Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today we have Anne Alexander-Sieder, and I can't wait for her to tell you about what she does, how she helps people, because she is truly amazing. So,
Aw.
Anne, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I moved to Germany for love about 30 years ago, when I was right in the middle of like what I thought was an amazing period in my career as an actor. I was SAG-AFTRA. I was earning enough money to have my health insurance paid for. I didn't have to have a side hustle. And I was
Awesome.
working on my equity card. And then I met this hot German guy and ended up in Germany. And, you never know what's going to happen with your life, right?
Yeah.
And there were a few little flies in the soup. I didn't speak German. I got pregnant right away. And I just really didn't see how I could continue the career that I love so much. And it wasn't until my son was about 16 years old and didn't want to hang out with me so much anymore, a little weirdo, that I decided, okay, well, now I have time for myself. And I was 47 years old, still an American living in Germany, still not perfect German, no industry contacts, no show reel, no current show reel at any rate, no plausible reason to think I stood a snowball's chance in Hades of relaunching my career. But I thought, you know what? I'm not going to let that stop me. Why stop? Why let a little thing like that stop me? And I decided I was going to do it anyway. And what I realized then and there, I think I'd always been kind of doing this in my life, but I don't know if I did it so concretely, was instead of looking at like this monumentous challenge of relaunching my career as an American 47-year-old woman from Germany, I just thought, well, what's the first gap that I need to build a bridge over? And the first gap was training. I was really rusty. I hadn't really acted in 16 years. And I needed to get my skills back up to where I felt really confident in them again in order to relaunch my career. So that was the first thing I did. And, 11 years later, I've now worked for A24, Hallmark, Netflix, Occupant Film, among others.
Hmm.
But the way I did it was by realizing that if I could bridge this gap for myself by bringing in the coaches, the training that I needed, and just get a handful of other people to take these workshops with me, then I could get the training I needed on my own home turf
Yeah.
and, on my own schedule in my spare time and not have to worry about anything. But what ended up really quickly becoming apparent was that not only was I able to get this free training, which was my main thing, I just wanted the training,
Yeah.
but I was also, my very first workshop, I earned 1,300 euros, which is
Awesome.
like, I don't know, $1,400, something like that,
Hmm.
for a 2-day workshop. And when that happened, I was just like, whoa, maybe this is really a way to support my acting career on so many levels. Because no
Yeah.
matter what you do, whether you're an artist, an actor, a
Hmm.
singer, you're foraging in the woods, whatever it is, there's always more you can learn. There's more knowledge to be learned and there are skills to be improved. So now what I do is help other people to build their own bridges over their own gaps.
Hmm.
And I do that through something I call the Curator Academy.
Oh, that's so awesome with how you went about, restarting your career, because I know that when we talked, you were telling me, like, I should go to like LA to get trained and all that, but you didn't want to leave. So what you did is you brought the people that you needed help from to you,
Yeah.
and you brought other people who are interested in acting, to those events. So, like like you said, you didn't have to pay for it. You actually made money on it, and that's so awesome that you were that creative to make that happen. And then after all that, you're like, hey, let's continue this and keep helping more people.
Yeah. Well, I did my own workshops for about 14 years. And
Okay.
as I did them more and more, I realized there were many more ways to kind of this method is so adaptable.
Uh-huh.
So, at first I was using it to get the training I wanted. Then I was using it just to get money to finance short films.
Uh-huh.
And then later, I would say maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, is when I started using these workshops to network with people that I wanted to work with.
Yep.
And that was like really a huge game changer for me because, first of all, I was coming to them not as this needy little actor, right?
Uh-huh.
Who, please think of me, please consider me, and all of this kind of like putting you in a lower kind of a status. I was able to come to them as an equal and say, I would love to hire you. I think you're amazing, and I would love to hire you. And then we would get into conversations, and then they could get to know me as a human being because, and, and I could still show them what I did as an actor, because of course, if I wanted to, I could take part in the workshop. It was my workshop.
Yep.
And, so this became a real game changer. I mean, I had gotten an agent out of one workshop working with one, woman who is amazing, and, I've gotten job offers out of other ones. So, I mean, it really became a way to network. You know what? My husband always says, like, you come up against a door and most people go, oh, the door's not open. I guess I'll go home.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, there's got to be a window around here somewhere, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's true. And I think that so many of us are creative and capable of coming up with these kind of scenarios, but we just are conditioned not to do it.
That's
We
for sure.
are, yeah, I think so many times, especially if you're a creative, you think that there are only two ways to make money doing what you love. Either you're getting booked or you're getting hired or whatever it is to do that thing, or you're teaching it.
Mhm.
And the curator method is actually the third way. So it's you're finding the people that you want to learn from, that you want to network with, and you are bringing them to other people who could also benefit from that. And so what you end up doing is creating a whole community around basically helping you to get to your destination.
Yep.
You know how I love to describe this, Nick? I always say it's kind of like, it's the vehicle that gets you to your destination. But instead of the vehicle losing value and having to put gas in it for every mile you travel, instead of that, you're actually the vehicle, you are becoming more and more valuable because you're getting better skills, better connections, better understanding, and you're getting paid to do it.
Uh-huh.
So as you get closer to your destination.
Yeah, which is incredible. Networking and building a community these days is so powerful and impactful. And that's what I do in my business too. We have a community. I'm constantly networking. That's a lot of why I have this podcast, is so
Yeah.
I can connect with people that I want to talk to, the people that either I can help get them closer to their goals or they can help me get closer to mine. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm implementing the same thing into my own business.
Yes. And I think so many times people overlook these kinds of things, like
Definitely.
situation like what you're doing is it's brilliant. And I also used my podcast that way for many, many years, to as another way, like, oh, well, you don't want to teach a workshop? Would you like to be a guest on my podcast?
Yep, exactly.
Right? Yeah. And it is so true that when you people appreciate being given a platform to talk about
Yep.
what they're good at and to
Mhm.
share it because they believe it has value and they want to share whatever that thing is.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's really smart. But I find it's so interesting because, I I find that often we're given so much information in this world, right?
Mhm.
And this was one of the things that really I wanted to avoid with the Curator Academy. I didn't want it to be about information. I wanted it to be about doing, because doing is the thing that actually makes a difference.
Yep.
So, and I knew that, yes, I could just tell these people how I did it and how to do it. But I knew that if I didn't actually build it into the curriculum, that a lot of the curators, that's what I call them, a lot of the curators, they just wouldn't actually do it.
So true.
S- Yeah. And I wanted to make sure that everybody who participates in the Curator Academy actually has a win, right? Because once you do that first workshop, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be great. Good is good enough for the first one. And then you can always make it better and better as you do it again and again and again. But once you've done that first one, then you've proven to yourself, hey, I can do this. I'm still standing. It's all
Yep.
good, right? And it
Yep.
just gives you a whole new confidence and understanding of what you are capable of.
I love that you do you help your people do the thing. And I myself, I bought so many courses and coaching programs and whatnot that all you do is learn without taking action. And it's like you'll spend, 8 hours a week on these virtual calls learning. That's 8 hours that you could have been doing something. So
Right.
in the recent months, I've like stopped attending all of those calls and I'm just about taking action and putting in the work that I've learned how to do.
Yeah,
And I've seen such a big difference and growth in my business since I started doing that. So
I'm sure.
I love that
Well,
you
what is
help.
the Pareto principle, right?
Yep.
Right? 20% of your actions yield to 80% of your results. And then if you can flip that and make sure that whatever you were doing, that 20%, and turn that into the 80% of what you're doing,
Hmm.
4x your results.
Yep.
So it's just smart. Yeah. And people are different, right? And I get it. And it's not that one personality type is better. I respect that everybody has their own way of doing things. And a lot of people I find just really want the support. They have not yet learned to trust their intuition. And this is so interesting because I'm seeing this with my curators as well in some ways. So one of the things, I was a career coach for actors for a number of years. I still have a small cohort of actors that I help. But the thing is with actors, right, is I'm always telling them, lean into who you are. Like you be the orange juice concentrate of who you are. So like, so that there's no misunderstanding who you are, what you stand for, how you think, all of these things, right? And a lot of times it takes a while for people they don't even realize how many masks they wear. And
Hmm.
it takes a while, first of all, for them to recognize those masks and then to take them off and be able to stand there and say, this is me. This is me.
Yep.
You know, it is what it is.
Hmm.
And I get that that's scary, but I
Hmm.
really think that as an actor and as anybody, a podcaster, a singer, anybody who's in the public eye in any way whatsoever, or even coaches, anybody who's trying to have an impact on somebody else in one form or another, you must be yourself.
Mhm.
And this is something I lean really strongly into with the curators as well. I'm like, hey, you guys have never done this before, so don't pretend you have.
Mhm.
Tell people the truth.
Yep.
It's okay. You don't need to sound like some kind of a professional,
Mhm.
whatever, because you're not. You're just super excited about whatever your thing is, and you
Yep.
want to learn more about it.
Yep.
And that's infectious. That's contagious, right? That kind of
It
like,
is.
I love this and I want to learn more. And it makes people, I think it breaks down their barriers as well.
Yep.
And, you know, and then you can also avoid the dreaded imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, and the thing about imposter syndrome is, I don't know if you follow Nell Robbins.
I love Mel. Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. But I was
Yeah.
listening to her one day, and we've all come, you know, we've all felt imposter syndrome. I feel like, as entrepreneurs or actors or whatever. And she said something that really hit home, and it was, "You're not an imposter. You're just a beginner."
Right.
And it's so true because you need to keep doing it and learn.
And maybe you're not even a beginner, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting because like when I returned to acting, I was a professional actor. I
Mhm.
was just rusty. That
Yep.
would be like, I don't know, not to compare myself with Michael Jordan or anything, but if Michael Jordan
Yeah.
said, like, hey, look, I haven't played basketball in 10 years, you'd still be like, hey, I'm not going against you, right?
Yep.
So, eh, so it was, but I also recognized that I was rusty and that I
Mhm.
needed that training.
Mhm.
So I think just be honest with where you're at,
Yep.
right? And
For
be
sure.
open to the experience of learning. And for me, one thing that I always strive to do when I'm in a learning position, I want to be the dumbest, least talented person in the room,
Definitely. Yep.
you know,
Yep.
because that will pull you up. If it's the other
Exactly.
way around, then yeah,
If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
exactly. Thank
Yep.
you. Yes, that's a
And I
good,
want to
yeah.
touch on something that you talked about, and that was embracing who you are. And I didn't do that until about 4 or 5 years ago. I lived my whole life like following what other people wanted me to do. I do have cerebral palsy, which I never accepted.
Yeah.
I always tried to hide it as much as I could. Trust me, you can't hide this. It's
No.
not possible.
Yeah.
But it was like 4 or 5 years ago that I finally embraced who I was. I accepted that I have a disability. Nothing I can do to change it. But what I can do is figure out how I can better myself and other people's lives because of that. You know, my disability is not who I am. It's just a small part of that. So, yeah, I've embraced who I am. I love who I am now, and that's huge. When you can learn to love yourself, oh, the whole world opens up. You see things differently every day, all day.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that you said that. That's, I always look, you're right. You can't hide it. You can't hide from it and you can't hide it from the world. And it is what it is. And this is your life. So either you can choose to be angry about it or, blame it for why
Hmm.
you're not achieving your goals, or you could say, hey, it is what it is, and I'm still going to do my thing.
Yep.
And that's what you're doing. And that is, I'm sure, so inspiring to so many people.
And it's my mission to inspire more people, especially people that do have some sort of disability, to, accept it. Because so many people just don't. And they live the poor me life and they don't do anything. And it's so sad to see because I know how much potential people have if they just believe in themselves.
You know what it is also, Nick? I think it's is people are giving away their power, right?
Mhm.
So when you're blaming, oh, well, if I didn't have this, then I could be doing that. Or if I didn't, if that person would let me do it, then I would be further ahead. Or if this, if.
Yep,
And at the end of every if statement is always a limiting belief. And I think,
definitely.
if you want to change that, there are three things that you can change in your life. You can change how you think, you can change what you do, how you act, right? Or you can change how you choose to perceive things. And look at
Mhm.
the power that that gave you. You chose to perceive your situation in a different light. Did your situation change? No. You changed how you chose to perceive it. And then that made you change how you chose to act with it and how you chose to think about it.
Yep.
And that, I'm sure, has been a whole chain reaction of things that have happened for the better for you.
Well, that's for sure. Like it's crazy looking back over the last 4 years because cerebral palsy is not something you can cure. It's something you have forever. So they say. I'm listening to
Who knows?
reverse.
AI is coming
Yeah,
up with all sorts of
I know,
things,
right?
right? Yeah.
So, but I will say, like, since I've accepted, since I've lived a whole life of not really letting it stop me from doing much, but it's totally different when you actually embrace it and, just be like, okay, let's just figure out what we can do with this. I have, like, my side effects or symptoms of it, whatever you want to call it, they've reduced significantly. Like,
Wow. Why
I
do you think
used
that is?
because I'm confident in myself. Like,
Ah.
I think
So,
that's
just
huge.
so I
Yeah,
understand, so when you feel stressed or insecure, the symptoms become stronger?
definitely,
Wow,
definitely.
okay, I
Like,
didn't know that.
I used to stutter all the time, like constant stutter. Like, if I went out to order food, because it was always worse with people I didn't know.
Mm,
When I
yeah.
went out to eat and the waitress would come by and ask for your order, I would usually have whoever I was with order the food because if I tried, I would just stutter and not get a word out.
Mhm. Which I'm sure made it worse, right?
Yeah,
It's like this.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a cycle.
yeah.
It's just a cycle that keeps going around and around and around. And now it's like confident. Like, yes, still stutter, but it's so much less than before. Like, I started this podcast like a year and 5 months ago. And if you go back and listen to the first, 100 episodes, I started. And now it's pretty rare that I don't. It's like I learned how to talk better. My speech
Yeah.
is a lot clearer. And it's just incredible. And on top of all of that, like, I'm more physically able to do things now than I was before. Just
What do
because,
you think that is? Because you believe in yourself, because you
yeah,
know you're capable.
yeah, just because,
That's
like,
great. Yeah.
I don't let anything stop me. It's just like before, like,
Limitless.
if I had to walk, a quarter mile or eighth mile, that was way too far. And like a month ago, I went down to Vegas, and I think in one day I walked 6 miles.
Wow.
It's just like
Okay. Yeah.
it's just like I don't like. Yes, it still hurts. I still get tired, but I don't quit because I believe I can do it.
Yeah. And that's what makes all the difference. But I think, what do you think flicked that switch for you? What made you go from being insecure to saying, I'm going to believe in myself, and then actually doing it? Because it's one thing to say, I'm going to do it, and it's
Yeah.
another thing to actually feel that and believe that.
For me, I think the flip was, I got into self-development because, um, in 2019, I lost my dad to cancer, that flipped my whole world upside down. Yeah. And I got very depressed like a year later. Like I didn't give myself time to grieve or anything.
Yeah.
So I got just very depressed and suicidal thoughts. It was not a good time. I knew something had to change, otherwise I wasn't going to be around long. And I found a podcast called the Mindset Mentor,
Hmm.
and that podcast has helped me more than any course I bought or anything over the years,
Wow.
because
Do
it's
you know
helped.
the person, the podcaster?
So the podcaster is Rob Dial, who I actually became one of his clients for a
Okay.
while. So I did
Yeah.
get to talk to him, and it was
Good.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he
he's
knows what a difference he's made in your life.
yeah, yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah.
yeah. So it's really awesome, but everything is mindset. Your mindset affects your whole life, and
For sure.
I had a very negative mindset my whole life.
Mm.
You know, it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't great either. You know, I was constantly thinking bad thoughts about myself, beating
Yeah.
myself up, all that. And once I shifted that to recognize those negative thoughts and put them into a positive thought, everything improved because I was just happier with myself and with who I was as a person versus before. I didn't like who I was. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't like the body I was in, and now I do.
Yeah. I think people underestimate how much power your words have.
Mhm.
And also, I mean, here's a wild little fact. We have about 12,000 thoughts a day. And of those 12,000 thoughts, roughly 9,000 of them are negative. So unless you get into the habit of catch, cancel, and, correct, so that you're not always having these negative thoughts. And we do it so casually, right? You can be at the grocery store and I forgot the list. Ah, stupid. I drop the milk, when I'm in the morning, clumsy, idiot, moron, right? And we just do this kind of, I get on the scale, fatty, look at this, disgusting, right? And it's just, we don't even it's so normal, we don't even realize that we do it. Or even like, I should pick up my phone and talk, oh, they don't wanna talk to you. They don't care. You know, all of those things. And I think, you know, we definitely get in the habit of catch, cancel, and correct. Like first you have to become aware that you're even having these thoughts. Do you know the parable of I think it's a parable. It's the story about the two wolves. Have you heard that?
Um, I'm not sure.
Hmm. I'll tell it to you really quickly
Okay,
because it
that
made a
sounds good.
huge impression on me. Yeah. So one day, this grandfather, Cherokee, is sitting around the campfire with his grandson, and he says to him, "My son, there are two wolves warring within each of us. One is evil. It's filled with rage and resentment and envy and malice and spite and rejection and all things that are bad. And the other wolf is good. It is filled with hope and love and kindness and compassion and empathy and all things that are good." And the grandson thinks about this for a while. Finally, he looks up at his grandfather and he says, "But grandfather, which wolf will win?" And the grandfather looks at him and he says, "The one you feed."
Yes.
I just find that so, I still
Wow.
get chills
Yeah, I just
yeah,
did too.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
I got goosebumps.
yeah. It's such a good lesson. Don't feed your bad wolf, feed your good wolf. That's
Wow.
all I say to my son at times. He'll be going off on something. I'm like, feed your good wolf, baby. Feed your good wolf. You
Wow.
know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That really does help a lot. And I know
Yeah.
it's gonna help anybody that hears this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I gotta ask, how can people reach out to you and work with you?
Let's see. Well, I think probably the easiest. So my name is Anne Alexander-Sieder. You can find me pretty much everywhere on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Instagram, all the places. But I'm actually doing a free challenge that if
Oh.
somebody was like, "Oh, the curator method sounds like something I'd like to try," it's
Mhm.
a 5-day challenge. And over that time, you're going to be able to identify your first few gaps and figure out how you can create that first bridge to get, from one milestone to the next. And yeah, it's a free challenge. The best place for that would probably be Linktree. Like if you go to Act Bold at Linktree, then all of my offers will come up, all of my stuff will come up. And right up at the top is called the Escape Route Challenge. So right up at the top, that's what you can see, and sign up for that. It doesn't cost a thing, and it literally might change your life.
Amazing. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
then what is your podcast?
My podcast is called Act Bold. I'm in the process of pivoting. It's going to continue to be called Act Bold. At least I think it is. But I was really focusing more on actors for the first 110 episodes. And now I would really like to branch out to anyone who feels like they're stuck and they don't know how to build that bridge to get to where they want to go. And yeah, right now I'm in the process of documenting, I call it the Curator Diaries. So all of my founding members in this founding member cohort, um, they all come from different walks of life, different corners of the earth. Super interesting. And I'm just sort of documenting from week to week how they are building each of their businesses. And I should say, you know what? It's more than because building a business, it sounds so scary. Really, what they're doing is they're building their bridges to where they actually want to be. And they're
Yep.
doing it in a way that has its own safety net built in. So you don't have to quit your job or, all of a sudden you're just doing what you would be paying to do in your spare time anyway.
Yep. Exactly. But that's awesome. I love that you're doing that, and that pivot in your podcast. That's going to be awesome because
Thank you.
that's
Yeah.
gonna really help people. People can really relate to, basically feeling stuck and not
Yeah.
knowing how to get over it. And
Exactly.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then I gotta ask you, my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
Hmm. I I think if I like the first thing that popped into my mind was I think my creativity is my superpower. And I think my creativity, not just as an actor or as an artist or as a writer, but creative in I try to be creative in every aspect of my life. And creativity has always helped me to figure out the solutions to get to where I want to go. And I think that as long as every child, up until they're about 4 years old is literally a creative genius. And when you ask that same person, I don't remember which study this was, but it was a study. When people hit around 40, about 2% of them are creative geniuses, which
Yep.
is crazy. So we all start out with this magnificent ability to use our creativity beyond any limit.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden life, the world, our parents, the teachers start saying you can't do that, don't do that, settle down,
Uh-huh.
whatever it is. That's not how it's done. And we just sort of get smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think if you can find a way to tap back into that creative brilliance that we all are born with, that is a way to tap into being limitless.
I agree 100%. So so powerful. And what's one last message that you would like to leave the audience?
I think people get so caught up in wanting to do things right or do things perfectly, whatever that means, right? And they spend so much time thinking that it's not good enough or whatever it is that they want to do, or that they spend way too much time thinking and not enough time doing. And if you would just take those first couple of steps into whatever it is that you would like to be doing, you'll see that, first of all, you're still standing. And hey, even if you're not, you can get back up and try again. And all of that just builds the confidence. It is action builds the confidence. It's like this big, beautiful flywheel, right? So if you have a belief that you can take this action, so you create the intention, which causes the action, which causes a different result, which brings you to more confidence. And it just keeps going around and around and around and getting bigger and stronger. But it all starts with that very first step. You have to take that first step out of your comfort zone.
Yep, you do. I tell people, get comfortable with being
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. I
Me
love
too.
that.
One of my
Yep,
favorites. Yeah.
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 And then
Yeah.
I don't like, because people are so afraid of failing. Like, they're just so afraid. And like, this is how I live my life: is I cannot fail if I don't give up.
Right.
Because everything that you might look at as a failure is just a little roadblock. Learn a lesson from that, move on, and do better the next time.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing, it reminds me, I used to always tell my son when he would get discouraged, the thing that separates the winners from the losers, and those are harsh words, in retrospect, maybe they were harsh words, but the thing that separates I'll just say it like I used to say it to him, the thing that separates the winners from the losers isn't that winners don't fall down. It's that the losers stay down and the winners get back up. And winning is not like this perfect, just straight like a hockey stick of success. Winning is going up and down and up and down, down, down and up and down and up, right? And it's just getting up, brushing yourself off and trying again. That's what makes a winner.
Yep, it is. It really is. All right, Anne, this was absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Nick, thank you so much for having me. It was really my pleasure.
Of course. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.